All right, so we just finished up Goblin, and we're gonna jump to Human. The best makeup in the whole game is no makeup, not having to wear makeup. You are a human just like you. All you do is wear your costuming clothes, and which is up to you basically. Uh, and that's it. So makeup and costuming, super easy. Playing a human is the best for that, especially when you have to run around in a forest for 24 hours worrying about how your makeup is looking can suck. There's some history with humans, but essentially it amounts to there's a bunch of humans and they all do different things and there are different groups of humans, just like how there are different groups and nations of humans in real life. Uh, the arrival the first dragon and the first paladin was a human. Now I know dragon sounds like a race to you, but we're gonna get into that. But the first dragon and the paladin were attributed to humans, which is cool. So when you're playing a human, just like in real life, you have your history is really just up to you, essentially. You could be part of like a big group, you could be a mercenary, you could be a wizard, you could do anything. And as we get into the skills, you're going to see that human is the most diverse race of them all. So they get a little bit of athletics, two athletics, that's okay. They get curse, just like folk do. So we talked about turning people's noses blue with folk. They also get curse, so which is neat. And then they get three reductions, right? So that is the most amount of reductions I think we've seen so far on a given race. So what this actually means is play a human and be good at whatever it is that you want to be good at. Play a human. Uh, and because we want to incentivize people to play humans because wearing a ton of makeup sucks. Uh, essentially, no matter what pathway or game plan that you are intending to take your character down, you will not be deterred by playing a human, right? So playing a human and then doing anything is going to be just as good as playing an elf and being a spellcaster, or playing a dwarf and being a craftsman, or playing a lizard man and being a rogue, right? Like these are you are just as good as all the other races, and then having having all three of these reduced is actually kind of good because it allows you to be like, I want to be doing rogue stuff and casting at the same time, and you're good at both. Humans are really good with that. Speak with mammals. We've covered speak with mammals for two build. This is pretty good. Uh, weakness to disease. A five build detriment that makes you suffer damage from all disease stuff. We've talked about disease a bit being like not too relevant, and most of the time disease is sort of a carrier that's at the end of the weapon blow. That's like it's like gets around immunities. So there's not a whole lot of times where somebody's swinging for 100 disease and you're doubling that, and now you're taking 200 disease. That's not really a thing. Most of the time, disease is like a 2 disease, a 3 disease, 4 disease, sometimes 5. But it's not really like yeah, I'm gonna swing a ton of disease at someone. That doesn't really come up often. So -5 build to have like a legitimate, like, I take double from this is okay. 5 free build is pretty good a lot of the time. That's gonna get you one of these whole reductions too, which is super cool. And then we get into Elder, and this is the most diverse Elder that you're going to see, I think, in terms of pathways. So, just like how we talked in Ghoul, that there's typically the name of the skill, and then something like Barbar, and then something for Ghouls, there was Savage or Noble, and then Elder. And things that didn't have Savage or Noble were generic Elders. Let's see here. So, this and Up are generic Elders. So, you get one, two, three, four, five generic elders, and reduced craftman. You get the stuff that dwarves get when it comes to reducing production points. Let's see here. Seamanship, immune to all forms of nausea. That's pretty okay. Elder curse, just like folk, you don't go around elder cursing people unless you really mean it. this for the longest time. This was so important because nobody could read a map besides humans. This isn't the old text that humans used to have. This has been updated because we've added independent skills for being able to read maps and stuff. But for the longest time, the only people who could read maps or like determine how to go a certain way of like, hey, you're in the middle of the woods, how do you get home? Like, I hope there's a human around because humans are the only guys that know how to read maps. Um, like this was for very important for a long time. Now there are individual skills that allow you to pick this up, but being able to pick this up for one build is pretty good because I think a lot of the skills are not they cost like 3 or 4 or whatever, so it's just better technically to be a human than it is. It's still good. It's still really good. Like being able to read maps and being like, hey, who can read a map? And you get to raise your hand when that happens, and that's pretty cool. Elder Curse, we talked about that. Reduced Craftsman, Nausea, Enhanced Strength Elder, you get 2 more strength. Did they get strength in their base? No, they didn't. Yeah, so you get 2 strength, and then we'll jump into we'll jump into Jack of all trades. So, just like how you got a reduction to all 3 of the main pools, or what you got here, this is both spellcasting pools, this is Knavery, and this is Weapon Mastery, right? So that's all 4 of the pools, main pools covered. And then you also get Reduced Craftsman, which is kind of nutty. Jack of all trades, this is essentially one skill. So you see Jack of all trades 4 times. And it basically just means pick one of those pools and you also get an additional reduction in it, which is amazing. It's really good. That's nuts. Having 2 reductions on a single thing as a just from your racials is actually amazing. So if you're wanting to be a fighter, the standard across all the other races is I have reduction of 1 in my. So let's say you're like you want to be a knavery person. Like lizard folk get reduced knavery and elves get reduced knavery, right? However, they don't have reduced knavery twice, but you do. That's amazing. The standard across all the other races is a reduction of 1 to a given pool. You get to pick one of these 4 to reduce so let's see, spirit, sorcery, knavery, weapon mastery. So you do not get to pick up all of these skills. I think the reason why it's actually 4 different skills has to do with the way logistics works and like our computer system and the way that they store all the skills and apply them to character sheets. But this essentially reads to 1 skill, and this allows the character to use 1 less X to a minimum of 1 when using X, and a character with this skill have the may not pick an additional Jack of all trade. What's neat about this is that somebody could have Jack of all trades sorcery, and they could teach you Jack of all trades, and then you get to pick weapon mastery. So you don't have to find somebody who's specifically a Jack of all trades with weapon mastery, right? Which is why this should technically be like 1 skill entry, but it's 4 because of the way our computer system works, I believe. But yeah, that's real good. Being able to have double reductions on certain spells or double reductions in a given area is nuts. Quick study. So every skill that you want to research on your own. So this has to do with like learning skills. Just how like dim-witted was a detriment to learning skills, this is like the opposite. This is like you learn skills better. Uh, and to learn a skill without anybody teaching you it requires 10 times the amount of build in research, and this reduces that to 5 times the cost. Um, and that's it. So it's okay. It's good if you're trying to learn some. So there will be times when you want to learn a skill, but nobody in town knows that skill, and you can't run out to go get an NPC to teach you the skill. So over a period of a couple games, you will research the skill yourself to learn it. Which is essentially at the beginning of the game, when this game first originated, that is how everybody learned all these skills, is they had to go research the stuff, because they didn't have this nice rulebook that gave it all to them, and they didn't have a pool of people at town to teach them stuff. They had to go research everything. So respect your elders. They learned all the stuff to be able to teach you. Opportunist adventurer. Each logistics. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, so what we haven't talked about is the racial pass. So the racial pass within human is adventurer, nomad, and barbarian. Okay. I'm gonna give you a little hint. Adventurer is probably the best one. Probably. Uh, but yeah. So this is so far all the jack of all trade stuff. That's only if you go adventurer, right? So that's a big reason why people would go adventurer. Let's see here. Quick study, opportunist. You get to roll on the NPC chart once per logistics before you walk into game. The NPC chart is a reward that characters get for NPCing full time. Uh, so if you full time NPC a game, you get to pretend like your character played that game, so they get to advance as if they were, in terms of experience points, in terms of build points, they get to advance as if they had played. And then you also get extra perks for NPCing because we want to incentivize people to play NPCs, right? So you get to roll, and there's this big chart which has a ton of you like roll a D100 or something or a D20, for all of our tabletop players out there. And on that, it's just a random loot chart, basically. It's a loot chart or a skill chart or a something chart. And a lot of these charts for NPCs are freaking good, man. Like, there's really good rewards for NPCing. And you get to just, every game, you get to roll on that chart and just get one of those things as an adventurer. It's for 3 build. It's so good. Like, you could really get some dirt nasty stuff on this. Like, oh, you can just learn an elder for free, or oh, you get like a gold. Like, that's really amazing. Like, it's super good. That's adventure. Adventure is the one I'd pick up every time of the week. I have a tough time justifying playing something other than an adventure when it comes to being a human. Um, there are a lot of people who play humans and then don't play elder, um, because there are good trade-offs to not being an elder, which we'll talk about eventually. Sorry to keep pushing that off, but it requires explaining upper pools and then augments and then all this other crap. So when we get to that video, we'll get to it. But understand that there's a reason to not go Elder. There are good reasons to not go down this way, and you're gonna see why eventually. Mistwalk. So under Nomads, they get Mistwalk. That's pretty cool. We've talked about Mistwalk a little bit. This isn't the race that specifically is like built around Mistwalking, but it's cool. You get Mistwalk, Glib, Nomad, uh, you get a speak with X, and it's quite literally a speak with X, speak with creature type conversation. Like you just it's just like speak with mammals, but you don't care what it is. You can speak with anything. Um, I think for the most part, there's probably some silly limitations to keep you from like doing weird stuff, but anything that walks into town, you can speak with it as a nomad, which is super cool. That's super useful in terms of diplomacy. Uh, Wow. Okay, nomads get nomad curse, which you already get regular curse, and then you get elder curse, and now you're getting nomad curse or a family. You get to curse somebody's whole family. Uh, you don't get to quantity one, right? You only ever have one nomad curse. Uh, and this is something you do when you encounter a very big bad guy and you throw a nomad curse at them. So in case they escape, they have a really bad day afterwards. This that's all this is. So you don't get to give you're like generically saying, "I curse your lineage" or something. And then the curse is non-specific in nature, so you don't get to control what the curse does, and the plot gets to determine what that curse is. And man, does it suck. Does it really suck to have a nomad curse, dude? Like, we've talked about how sucky being cursed is. Having a nomad curse you is like you dishonor on your family, dishonor on your grandparents, dishonor on your descendants, dishonor on your cows. Like, it's not good. It's not good. Um, and that's it for nomad. You get these 3 skills, right? So adventure got all this crap and double reductions, which are amazing. you get to talk with anything, you get a miswalk, and you get a weird curse thing that doesn't really help you in combat too much. That's it. These are good role playing. There's a lot of crafters that play nomads, and they're super okay. Uh, there's a lot of role play when it comes to this, and mistwalking in and of itself is a good enough skill. I think that's the thought process here: is that mistwalking in and of itself is a good enough skill to justify why playing nomad, because mistwalking is cool and fun, and definitely not dangerous. And then Barbarian, yeah, they get Elder Athletics, which we talked about before, which is really good. One build for 10 body is amazing. You just get to do it five. See, it's 5 build for 50 body. That's pretty good. Like 50 body is a lot when you're talking about skills. They get Battle Rage, 10 body, and 2 strength. Oh, it's only one build though. Okay, so you buy this 10 times and then for one build, so you spend 10 build, you get it 10 times, and then you say this, you say battle rage, battle rage, battle rage, battle, and you just dump all your skills at one point, and you get 2 times 10 is 20, so you'll get plus 10. So what this actually reads is plus 100 body and plus 20 strength for an entire combat if you dump all of them at one combat. Because 10 body and 2 strength for I get 10 body and I swing for plus 1. It's not very the best. However, it's cool when you're when you need to do one more damage and you go like, oh well, battle rage, and now you're doing one more damage, right? Like being able to adjust stuff on the fly like that is pretty okay. Overall, for one build, you take this every day. You take all 10 of these for one build. That's pretty okay. We talked about Elder Athletics, Totem Spirit. This is a lot like the Beast makeup. And you're gonna learn about barbarian. There are human barbarian tribes, and this is a lot like the beastman skill, where you get to be kind of like you get a unique skill based off of what kind of beastman you are. You're going to get a unique skill based off of what barbarian tribe you are. Um, this ability gives you one of the abilities of your tribe's totem as long as you maintain the totem spirit's favor. So this immediately is a lot of roleplay and it's very cool. I've met a couple human barbarians, and they get some cool stuff off their totems. It's a lot like Beastman, where you're getting like a unique thing. Barbarians are cool. Nomads are cool. Adventure is really good. I would probably pick an adventure just to be safe. But if you're into roleplay, or if you know specifically, like, there's a lot of people that want to go straight into the I am a muscly man with a two-handed weapon and I'm going to scream and yell in combat. That's a barbarian. This is what you want to be doing if you're playing that guy. If you're that guy, you want to be playing a barbarian. Um, yeah, humans, and it's all we just talked about, and you don't need makeup. You do not need makeup. That is a big upside to humans. Humans are really good, just as good as folk, I'd say. And there are just as many humans as there are folk in town. Probably more folk than humans because people do want to be like a unique fantasy race in a fantasy LARP. But humans really good. Uh, I would go out of my way to say that for your first game, picking human 9 out of 10 times is going to be a safe bet. And I believe there is a functional I believe there's a functional rewrite. So you don't get to change your character name, but you do get to change your race and like your skills. So if you go to your first game and you're playing a caster and you're playing a human and you're like, actually, wow, that sucked. I don't want to be a human caster. I want to be a ghoul weapon master. You get to keep the same name and kind of keep the same backstory, but on your second game, you could walk in with the same character slot with the same name, and you could instead be a ghoul weapon master. Um, that's exclusively for like new people. That's not a thing that happens for people who've played very often, and that it's just kind of like a protection against like, wow, my first event really sucked. I hope my second one will be okay, right? Like we don't want people to feel like they're stuck on a specific thing if they play a whole game and they're like, oh no, guess I need to make another new character and have no extra build because I didn't play a game technically with this character. Like playing a human is a safe bet, and having no makeup requirements is really good. So yeah, that was human. Humans are the most diverse and one of the better races to pick if you're trying to play it safe.